Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm really glad you can join me. It's been another fantastic month. Remember, the whole point about this is to make some money investing in the stock market, and we had a great month. If you've been following my trades, which I know a lot of people have, you already know we hit another almost 8% again last month, which is fantastic. If you're new to this, first time you're watching, in this video I'm going to show our results for September and talk a bit about what's coming up for October, what the prospects are, what we're looking to invest in, and I've got a nice list of companies that I think offer some real potential. I'm going to go through how I find them, how I invest them. But first of all, we're going to look at September results. It was cracking. So on the screen, we've got the performance for September. Fantastic. Look at this, 7.9% in 1 month. Really, really happy with that. S&P only returned 2%, which isn't too bad for the S&P. Average is about 2.3%. So it just shows how far ahead we are. And for year two over here, we're at 17.2% versus the S&P at 4%. So we're doing really well. I just wanted to point out, though, even though we've had two really successful months, it's not always the case. I've got up here, this is the chart of our performance since we began this in August 2023, and it shows a couple of important things I want to bring out. First one is right at the end here, how far we are above the S&P. We've now passed 100%. So during last month we passed 100% in 13 months, which is really excellent. S&P's well down at like 22% over that period. We're at 123. But I also want to show how that we've had, one, two, 3, 4, 5 months where we've gone down, and on 2 occasions we've gone down in consecutive months. So we do expect to go down. We're not going to go up every month. It will go down, and when it does go down, it can go down pretty sharply. Look at that, far sharper than the S&P. Both times we lost a lot more than the S&P does, and you can see the correlation. When S&P is going down, we go down, but we go down more. When the S&P is going up, we go up, but we tend to go up more. It's that old saying, isn't it? A rising tide lifts all ships. That's kind of what happens. Let's have a look at the open trades at the moment. I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in that. So the open trades, that's our performance so far. Real key points here. We've made $1,135 of profit. Remember, we're only investing $250 per trade, and we chose 250, so loads of people can join in and watch the profit come in along with us. The average win is 132. The average loss is only 13. So our win to loss ratio is 10 to 1, which is excellent. And we're winning 9 out of 13 trades, which is really, that's really good for us. I'm really happy with that. Let's look at the actual trades. There they are. So we can see on the whole, we're doing really, really well. We've had there's a few companies I want to mention that might lead us to fall back a little bit next month. We've got Centrus Energy, Lou, only took it in September, it's up 37%. Burn is only a couple of months old, 50 days old, that's up 68%. And Luna, Intuitive Machines, had a real jump last month. If you might remember, it was down at minus 26. Now we're at plus 46. So because those three have had such a big rise, they could well fall off. The other one that's, is pulling back, Bluebird, the school bus company, it's currently up 161%, but that's definitely pulling back, so we could expect it to go a little bit further backwards. Just want to make sure we're clear on one thing. Centrus Energy, remember, we get all of these prices. I said I bought it at 40.14. That price comes from Seeking Alpha. When I published, price at publication was 40.14, so that's the price I used, just for transparency, so you can go back and check that I have done what I said I was going to do. And here we can see this big jump that we caught. Bit of luck there, I suppose, but now we expect that to pull back a bit. It almost always does. It never ever just keeps going skyward forever. That's why we're kind of expecting a little bit of a pullback this month. So if you like those results, please hit the like button down below. It really helps me get the word out. Much appreciate it. Now, what I want to talk about now is the prospects for October. Prospecting is the biggest part of what I do. I spend 90% of my time, I reckon, looking for the next investments. And during September, I started to build my prospect list, and companies get on my list by one of 3 ways, really. They can either be on my tracking portfolio. Let's just have a look at the tracking portfolio. Here's my tracking portfolio. These are all the companies that I've registered with their investment relations area. See, there is, there's a lot of companies here in the different sectors I look at. I register with all those companies' investor relations, so they send me all their press releases. I can get hundreds some days. I have to go through them all looking for stuff that's interesting. But if I do find something that's interesting, then that company goes on the prospect list to analyze. I've got I pay for information from two companies, and I'm registered with two brokers and Seeking Alpha, of course. And with all of those, I have screeners and filters in place that try to analyze or find companies that are potentially undervalued. And anything that comes from those filters also goes on the prospect list. And finally, just general reading. Quite often, you're just reading on some site or even in the newspaper, and you find some industry or some company that looks like it's doing something exciting, and I put that on the prospect list, and then we start to analyze them. And then I've got this filter process, which I'm going to go now, which hopefully leads us with profitable investments. So far it has been doing. So let's just have a quick look at that. How that on the screen now, we've got the prospect list for October. And I've got a little bit ahead in September, which is great. So I've already been through the first sort of filtering process. And the first filtering process was just looking at the technicals, the price chart, to see if I think there's a good entry position. Now, remember, one of the things we're trying to do is be smart investors. So we never want to buy hype. We never want to buy after the move. We want to buy before the move. And we want to buy something that the price suggests might go up. Of course, I don't use technicals. It just helps me filter out some of the prospects. So some of these are just rejected on technicals, as you can see. Now, do you remember I said that a lot of these prospects, they come from screeners and scanners that are just looking for undervalued companies? And so a number of them come along. Let's look at this one here. The first one I rejected on business, Superior Industries. I'd never heard of them before this month, never looked at them at all, but I looked at the description of what they do, and you can see it says here, Superior Industries manufactures and sell aluminium wheels to OEMs. Got no knowledge about aluminium wheels, not particularly interested in that industry, so they've been rejected because of their business sector. And we can see several companies here rejected because of business sector. Once we go through those first two filters, so technicals, business sector, then we're left with quite a number of companies, 23 we've got. Some of them are just down to read, and some of them I'm already through. I've already read them and started to look at them. Some I've deferred to next month. We can see here we've got 3 or 4 deferred, 3 that we'd really go into in depth. I'm going to talk about one of those, audio controls, just for a second to give you more insight into exactly what I do. So, audio codes. I know I called them audio controls a moment ago, but it's audio codes, AUDC. Let's talk about them. They're an interesting company. They're what I call a fallen angel. So a company that's been really good in the past, but it's kind of dropped down a little bit now. And one of the reasons these companies fall down is their technology. Now, if you look at audio codes, they were making routers and they were making modems and they were linking different internet systems together. I mean, the major product was allowing you to send faxes over the internet. I mean, who sends faxes these days? That's just gone, that industry. It doesn't exist anymore. But they became leaders in VoIP, voice over internet protocol technology, and they've applied that knowledge to some new really exciting products. The way it works is this: they're now a bolt-on software that goes with things like Microsoft Teams and Zoom and the Cisco version and Google Meet, all of those things. And what it does, it records the voice conversation from perhaps a Teams meeting or a sales call or a management meeting, whatever it was. It records the voice and turns it into data that AI can interpret. So the AI will deliver the minutes of the meeting and distribute them. It will deliver key action points from a meeting, put those in. It will allow a salesman to review what he said last time he called somebody in a sort of AI summary, so he knows where he's up to. New employees can come in if they're taking over from someone. They can get a summary of what that person said to different organizations and different customers. So really improves the onboarding. And one of the things I like most, if you're running a large organization with lots of teams having all their meetings perhaps all around the world, it can find commonalities between those meetings. It can look at what's being said, what problems they're facing, what prospects they see, and filter all of those together to a manager. I think it's a fabulous product. I really, really like it. And to be honest, I think I could use it myself. Now, next thing I do after looking at their products, looking at the company, is the competition. And in AudioCo's case, it is frightening. They're up against big, well-funded organizations. It is a concern, but they've got a legacy product. They're trusted in the space. They've got a good reputation, so perhaps they can fight that a little bit. The final thing, and for me, the crucial decision-making issue about taking a trade, is what is the true value of their shares. I build a 3-statement model. Now that means I try to forecast the income statement, the balance sheet, the cash flow statement, using all of the information that management have given us from recent calls and looking at all of the work I've done on the competition and what's going to happen, and forecast into the future all 3 statements. That's why it's called a 3-statement model. From that, we work out the discounted cash flow value of their shares, and if that value is 100% greater than it is now, I'll be ready to buy, assuming that it's passed all the other filters. So the technicals look good, I'm not buying hype, the prospects for the business look really good, I really like the products, the competition looks reasonably good and okay. Finally, if the discounted cash flow say it's worth 100%, we buy it. It's a filtering process that ends up with some good trades at the end. That's why sometimes we only end up with 1 or no trades a month, because I don't know in advance which prospects are going to end up as really valuable investment ideas and which are just going to be maybe deferred or just not interested. So if you want to hear the results of all of those that research I'm doing now, please hit the subscribe button, because if I do buy something, I'll be talking about it in here, the way I did with Centris. Maybe go and have a look at that one if you're interested. Hope you enjoyed that. It was another great month. Hope you decide to follow. Hope I can deliver some more results for you in the future. We are expecting a bit of a pullback, as I've already said. Not sure. We are expecting it, so we're not looking for a great month next month, but hopefully in the long term, that chart I showed you, that blue line, just keeps going up and we just make more and more wealth together. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe. Speak to you all soon.